Dobar dan, drage kolege. Ja sam Slađana Dimitrijević. U ime Organizacionog odbora Državnog seminara Društva matematičara Srbije želim vam toplu dobrodošlicu. Drago mi je da smo se ponovo okupili, samo posle nekoliko meseci, u oktobru smo bili na sličnom seminaru. Pozdravljam i sve prisutne ovde, ali i sve kolege koji nas prate online. Ovog puta imamo i uvažene goste iz inostranstva, pa ću ja stoga se delimično obratiti i na engleskom jeziku. On the behalf of organizing committee of the State Seminar of Teaching Mathematics and Computer Science of the Mathematical Society of Serbia, I'm delighted to warmly welcome you. I truly pleasure to see you all, and I wish you a productive, inspiring, and collaborative seminar. Without further delay, I invite our president, Professor Miroslav Marić, to address the audience and inform us about recently activity of society. Naš predsjednik Miroslav Marić reći će nekoliko reči o našim skorašnjim aktivnostima sa posebnim fokusom na međunarodne naše aktivnosti kojima možda nismo na ranijim seminarima pružili dovoljnu pažnju.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, professors, students, members and friends of the Mathematical Society of Serbia, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the State Seminar on Teaching Mathematics and Computer Science. We are proud to continue the long-standing tradition of this seminar, which is held annually and offers participants a wide range of topics in mathematics and computer science education, including the presentation of innovative teaching practices. This year, we are especially honored to have a special guest with us, Professor Jan Filip Solovej, President of European Mathematical Society. Professor Solovej kindly accepted our invitation to join us and to address the participants at the opening ceremony. Professor Solovej, thank you for being with us today. It's a true honor to have you here. I will now proceed in Serbian. Poštovane koleginice i kolege, dragi učesnici, poštovani domaćini. Veliko mi je zadovoljstvo da vas pozdravim u ime Društva matematičara Srbije. Društvo matematičara Srbije je naporno i uspešno radilo tokom teške i veoma izazovne 2025. godine na svim frontovima. Verujem da ste svi već čuli za uspehe naših takmičara, koji nas uvek obraduju sjajnim rezultatima. Tako da ovog puta želim ukratko sa vama da podelim i neke od naših međunarodnih aktivnosti, koje možda nisu dovoljno vidljive, a koje su značajne za poziciju naše zajednice u širem regionalnom, evropskom i svetskom kontekstu. Imajući u vidu prethodnu godinu, nekako dok sam pisao izveštaj za prethodnu godinu, stiče se utisak da su nažalost, te međunarodne aktivnosti nekako i preovladale u prethodnoj godini. Tokom 2025. godine društvo je aktivno učestvovalo u radu ključnih međunarodnih matematičkih organizacija. Naši predstavnici su učestvovali na sastancima u donošenju odluka i planiranju budućih aktivnosti, čime doprinosimo razvoju matematike i matematičkog obrazovanja na globalnom nivou. Kada je u pitanju Međunarodna matematička unija, profesor dr. Nebojša Kodinović će biti naš predstavnik na sledećoj 20. generalnoj skupštini koja će se održati ove godine u Njujorku. Takođe, on je bio naš predstavnik i na prethodnoj koja je 2022. održana u Helsinkiju. Aktivni smo bili u Evropskom matematičkom društvu, EMS. Kao predsednik društva matematičara sam učestvovao na sastanku predsednika društava članica EMS-a, na kome su razmatrane ključne organizacione, naučne i izdavačke inicijative, uključujući ZIB i Math-Open, EMS Press, kao i pitanja otvorenog pristupa i odgovornog publikovanja. Posebno ističem da je naše društvo zastupljeno u Evropskoj matematičkoj akademiji mladih, IMS Young Academy, kroz angažovanje docenta doktora Dušana Džamića, što svedoči o aktivnoj ulozi mlađih generacija naših matematičara i informatičara u oblikovanju budućnosti evropske matematike. Takođe, profesori Zoran Kadelburg, Zorica Stanimirović i Slađana Dimitrijević su predstavnici DMS-a u Savetu Evropskog matematičkog društva, IMS Council. Društvo će na sednici Saveta IMS-a u Lisabonu 2026. godine predstavljati profesor dr. Zorica Stanimirović. Posebno bih želeo da istaknem aktivnosti u okviru Matematičkog društva Jugoistočne Evrope, nama poznato kao MASE. Predstavnici našeg društva, profesor dr. Aleksandar Lipkovski i profesor dr. Zorica Stanimirović, aktivno učestvuju u radu njegovih organa, pri čemu je koleginica Stanimirović izabran za potpredsednicu izvršnog odbora u mandatu od 2025. do 2027. godine, a profesor Lipkovski je bio predsednik u prethodnom mandatu. Ovo predstavlja značajno priznanje za naše društvo. U okviru MASE-a Društvo matematičara Srbije učestvuje u organizaciji i razvoju značajnih međunarodnih takmičenja, kao što su BMO, Balkanska matematička olimpijada, i JBMO, Juniorska Balkanska matematička olimpijada. Takođe, u toku su inicijative usmerene na jačanje naučne saradnje i vidljivosti matematike u regionu, kroz obnovu konferencije MIKOM i naučnog časopisa Matematika Balkanika, koji ima za cilj, kao i kroz pokretanje biltena MASE-a, koji ima za cilj da povezuje matematičku zajednicu, informiše o relevantnim događajima u oblasti matematike i obrazovanja. Pored toga, aktivno se radi na unapređivanju učešća mladih i podsticanju većeg uključivanja devojčica u matematička takmičenja. Časopisi, daju malo da se i pohvalimo na međunarodnoj sceni, a i domaćoj, časopisi Matematički vesnik i The Teaching of Mathematics, koji izdaje Društvo matematičara Srbije, kategorisani su kao međunarodni časopisi. Na osnovu višegodišnjeg praćenja citiranosti objavljenih radova, časopis Matematički vesnik je priznat kao međunarodni časopis kategorije M22, a Teaching kao međunarodni časopis kategorije M23. Dakle, jedan i drugi su na onoj popularnoj SCI listi. Od svog osnivanja, Društvo matematičara Srbije daje doprinos naučnim aktivnostima u oblasti matematičkih nauka i njihovih primjena, kao i unapređivanju nastave matematike, a u novije vreme i računarstva i informatike. Jedan od najznačajnijih oblika naučnih aktivnosti društva je publikovanje ova dva naučna časopisa, Matematičkog vesnika od 49. godine, a Teachinga od 98. Dugi niz godina, urednici i članovi redakcije ova dva časopisa, autori radova i brojni članovi društva ulagali su velike napore da ti časopisi postanu međunarodno priznati izvori naučnih rezultata. Ponosni smo na činjenicu da su dugogodišnji napori verifikovani dobijanjem odgovarajućih kategorija časopisa. Iskoristio bih ovu priliku da im čestitam još jednom na tome. Sve ove aktivnosti pokazuju da je Društvo matematičara Srbije prepoznato kao pouzdan i aktivan partner u regionalnoj i međunarodnoj matematičkoj zajednici. Toliko od mene, želim vam uspešan rad, inspirativna predavanja i prijatno druženje danas i sutra.
Kao što znate, već duži niz godina Ekonomski fakultet obezbeđuje prostor za organizovanje ovog seminara i mi smo im zbog toga zaista veoma zahvalni. Zato ću ja pozvati i Mladena Stamjenkovića, Vajzdina, ovog prodekana za nastavu fakulteta, da nam se obrati. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Faculty of Economics for their continually support and general hospitality. Year after year, this seminar took place here on Faculty of Economics, so I would invite the Vice Dean, Mladen Stamenković, to address us.
Hvala puno. Poštovani članovi Društva matematičara Srbije, dear Professor Solovej, I can do the discussion in English, but first of all, I would express my gratitude to all of you coming here. We are currently, as a School of Economics and Business, discussing the history of University of Belgrade with Mr. Solovej before the beginning of this ceremony. So the school next year is celebrating 90 years. So within the 90 year of celebration of this building, we are happy to provide the platform for all the other institutions and for all the other societies such as this one to express and to show the welcoming from our side and to present us as a good host for such events. I will switch to Serbian just to address the audience. Kao fakultet nekako dobio sam pitanje nedavno zašto insistiramo na tome da što više ovakvih događaja se dešava na fakultetu. Negde to doživljamo kao neku društvenu odgovornost i želju da omogućimo zaista da se vidi šta se dešava sa jedne strane na ekonomskom fakultetu, ali da pokažemo jednu vezu između ovakvog udruženja i pre svega, ajde mogu da kažem i na ličnom nivou, jako mi je drago, i Društva matematičara Srbije i matematike kao nauke u celini, vezu sa fakultetom koji na prvu loptu nema veze sa matematikom, u stvari jako je povezan. Danas sa veštačkom inteligencijom i pričom oko toga kako se ono uključuje obrazovanje, što je verovatno interesantno vama, tako interesantno i nama, analitičko rezonovanje, sposobnost kritičkog razmišljanja predstavljaju kompetencije koje su relevantne kako i nekom budućem programeru, tako i čoveku koji sutra treba da bude menadžer i vodi neku kompaniju u budućnosti. Naš fokus jeste negde kao škola internacionalizacija, dovođenje stranih univerziteta, pravljenje zajedničke saradnje. Od tuda imamo ovaj program sa LSI-em već duži niz godina. Nedavno smo sa Berlinom i Slobodnim univerzitetom napravili master program. Fokus nam je upravo da zajedno sa ovakvim partnerima i sa vama razgovaramo u budućnosti obrazovanja koje je sve više analitičko, sve više matematičko i otud nekako i ova naša želja da budemo domaćini ovog skupa i radujemo se što vas vidimo ovde. Nadam se uspešnom seminaru, nadam se da se vidimo i sledeće godine i treba da znate da matematičari su tradicionalno ovde uvek dobrodošli, osjećajte se kao kod svoje kuće i to mogu da kažem kao neko koji je sedeo i na Studentskom trgu kao student, a danas vrlo ponosno predstavlja i ovaj fakultet, ali ujedno i Društvo matematičara. Želim vam uspešan sastanak i hvala na tome što dolazite ovde i kažem uvek je ovo i vaša kuća. Hvala puno.
Hvala. Hvala profesoru Stamenkoviću na svakoj vrsti podrške. Ovom prilikom pozvaću predsjednika Evropskog matematičkog društva koji je tu danas sa nama, profesora Solove, da nam se obrati, pa ću se njemu obratiti na engleskom. It is a great pleasure for us and for Mathematical Society of Serbia as a whole to share that our work has been recognized on a European level. Recently we had meetings here of the Executive Committee of European Mathematical Society, and for these special occasions, we are particularly privileged to welcome the President of European Mathematical Society, Professor Solovej. We are sincerely grateful to him for honoring us with his presence. I would now like to kindly invite Professor Solovej to formally open the seminary and to say a few words about the activities of European Mathematical Society.
Thank you very much. I guess I'm the one that's honored to be here and to address you. So it's true that I'm afraid I will have to do this in English. So it is true that I was here for a meeting of the Executive Committee of the European Mathematical Society. It was a joint meeting with our union of centers of mathematics, the centers spread all over Europe, research centers in mathematics. So it was a joint meeting of that union called ERCOM and the Executive Committee of the EMS. But then there was this great opportunity of being here and to address you before I have to fly back home to Copenhagen later this afternoon. I just pressed down here.
I think this.
Okay. Okay, so let me say a little bit about the European Mathematical Society and a little bit about what we do also when it comes to education. So we are an umbrella organization of the national societies across Europe. So we have 60 national mathematical societies as members, and I think if I interpreted correctly before, you were told that the Serbian Mathematical Society is one of our members. It certainly is. But not only do we have the National Mathematical Society members, we also have 50 mathematical research centers that are also members. We call these the corporate or institutional members. And then we have a few individual members. Everyone can become an individual member of the European Mathematical Society, and we have 3,000 individual members. So what do? We have 10 committees, and I'm listed them here. And one of them is the Education Committee as well. But I would like to just go through them. We have an Applications and Industrial Relations Committee. We have a committee for developing countries outside Europe. We have an ethics committee to deal with if there are ethical issues. This can be both ethical issues that relate to publications, misuse of publications, misuse of data, misuse of artificial intelligence. All these kinds of things are adopted by our ethics committee, but it can also be harassment questions. We want to create a welcoming atmosphere at all our meetings, and the ethics committee deals if there are any problems of this kind. People can connect with the ethics committee, and the ethics committee will deal with it and will make formulations about how we would like people to behave. How do we want mathematicians to behave in a professional manner? Then we have a European Solidarity Committee that wants to try to create the unity within Europe. This is really important for us. And I guess there was a misspelling there. An E dropped out of engagement. It's the Outreach and Engagement Committee that wants to popularize mathematics, show how it's being used. We have a meetings committee that just pays for meetings around Europe. People can apply to European Mathematical Society to hold meetings. And then we have a publication and electronic dissemination committee that actually deals specifically with publication issues. And we have a committee for women in mathematics. On top of that, we have working groups. We have an internal and an external working groups that the internal working groups try to connect mathematicians within Europe, and actually also will deal a lot with education, and I'll get to that. And then we have an external working group that wants to engage with what we call stakeholders, for instance, politicians. And then there's something called the European Research Council. That's the big funding agency in Europe at the EU level, and we connect with them to make sure that they give out money to mathematicians in the correct way. We have a publishing house, EMS Press. We have EMEA. I think you also heard about EMEA already. There are certainly Serbian members of EMEA. It is our European Mathematical Society Young Academy. It is to connect with mathematicians at all ages. Not everybody has to be an old mathematician. There are younger mathematicians, what we call early career mathematicians, and we've created this academy for them. Then we have this union of centers that I mentioned, ERCOM, that we just had this meeting here in Belgrade today. It just finished an hour ago. So let me mention a few views and concerns of the EMS on education. So education is a small part of what we are concerned with. Mostly we are concerned with research mathematics and education at the university level, but we are developing also an interest, greater and greater interest in what's happening at secondary school education, somewhat less at primary school, but my personal opinion is that the European Mathematical Society should deal with everything from primary school, secondary school to university education. But primary school education is very much nationally based and is very different in the different countries. So it's somewhat difficult to have a unified policy on that. Anyway, let me say few things what we think. And one of the reasons I think it's so important is that mathematics is the only subject that is taught from first grade in any school anywhere in the world. There's no other subject. Of course, there's always the national language, but that's different in different parts of the world. Mathematics is never different. It's the same, and it's taught from day one in every single school. It's the most important subject. No one can avoid having some interaction with mathematics at some point in their life, and hopefully it's an enjoyable interaction. So it's extremely important that we have good mathematics education. Mathematics, as I see it, is a driver for society. And if the mathematics education is not good, society has a problem. So unfortunately, I'm saying here that the high level of mathematical literacy is extremely important, but we see it dropping. So one of our real concerns is that we have seen the mathematical literacy dropping in Europe. I'll show you some numbers in a little bit. It's essentially from the PISA report. I'm showing it on the next slide, how some countries have dropped drastically since 2018. Now, you may or may not like the PISA report. I mean, one can criticize it in many ways. It may not measure what we would like to measure. I do think that the drop in the PISA, because they do measure the same thing from year to year, well, I mean, they do it every 3 or 4 years. They measure the same thing. So when we see a drop, I do think it's a significant thing and something we really have to worry about. There's also another problem that we're addressing with great concern, and that is that it's difficult to find good mathematics teachers. So that's why I think it's wonderful to see so many of you here, and there are even more online, I guess. In general, we hear this all over Europe. It's difficult to find good mathematics teachers. Part of it is that probably teachers are not paid well enough, and therefore there are so many opportunities for mathematicians, they may do something else. I think teachers should be paid much more. I hope you can agree with me. In my own country, it used to be extremely highly respected to be a teacher and a very high paid job, but this is a long time ago and the salary has gone down for teachers. And I think we really have to fight for much better conditions for teachers to attract the good teachers at mathematics. I was asked to say a little bit about AI. Unfortunately, we do not really have a policy on AI in education. I mean, a formulated policy, but I'll get a little bit to that we are addressing it anyway in a moment. So here are the PISA scores. Maybe you cannot read it, that all these countries listed there, but you may be able to see all the minus signs. These are European countries. The minus signs indicate that from 2018 to 2022, there was a drop. I mean, I don't know if you can see the mouse, whatever. But the column all the way to the right is from 2003 to 2022. But the column I'm really concerned about is the one from 2018 to 2022. And some countries have dropped a lot. And what do these numbers mean? They can actually be interpreted. The PISA report usually interprets that if you drop by 20 to 30, it's like losing a whole year of school education. So some countries in Europe have actually, from 2018 to 2022, the students there seem the proficiency in mathematics corresponds to a drop that's almost like a whole year of studies. Serbia is actually pretty good. You only dropped by 8 points, so not like 20 or 30 like some of the others. So now let me mention something we do for education, and I'm actually encouraging you to follow this. This is a lecture series that we are running on education. This has been done by our education committee that I mentioned a moment ago, and our chair there is Anne Dooms, and I'm really proud of her that she has been able to organize these. There have been altogether 6 lectures. There are only 3 left, but so I mentioned the 3 that are left here. There's one on April 10, May 8, and June 12th. And you may notice that the one on June 12th is on AI. How should students control their AI diet? You may know Terence Tao. He is the world's most famous mathematician. I think everybody would agree on that. So he will give this lecture. I think We are running it on our Zoom channel. I'm sure that this will exceed the capacity of our Zoom channel, but it can be watched also on YouTube. And all of the lectures can be watched on YouTube at any time. So it addresses mathematics teachers, of educators and educational researchers and mathematicians in higher education and research, but also policymakers. So a takeaway from the last lecture on March 13, it was given by Hongxi Wu from Berkeley, what is school mathematics? And he actually somewhat addressed AI. And I think what he's concerned about is maybe something that's happening more in the United States than in Europe. But he says that it's become a bag of mostly incorrect, unmotivated topics with a focus on procedures. So he's worried that we are teaching students procedures and not why. So maybe, I think that's probably true more in the US than in Europe, but it is a problem. And I think it's sort of increased. And then he's worried about what does it mean for AI, because AI is trained on all of this material, and therefore maybe the AI will not be really good quality. And he has actually seen examples where it does not know how to calculate the area of a triangle because it's simply based on wrong material. So that is essentially my takeaway message, that good mathematics is extremely important. Good material in teaching mathematics is important. Certainly, if we want to have AI to be a help. I mean, AI can, I'm sure for many of you, AI is a challenge because the students use AI in all kinds of way and uncontrolled way. My wife was teaching in secondary school, not mathematics, but German and English. And she had the feeling that she was just grading essays written by AI. So at some point, she even asked AI to grade them so that she could tell the students this was written by AI. So I asked AI to grade it. But it was a real challenge. And the students, of course, very often admitted that they did it by AI, but in other cases, they did not. On the other hand, I do think that there's a lot of positive opportunities in AI, and we have to find them. But for teachers, it is a real challenge. The AI itself is good. For that, we need the material that we produce to be good so that AI can be trained on really good material. With that, I am honored to be part of this opening. I guess I'm the official opener of this state seminar, and I wish all of you a very, very successful meeting. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Solovey, for giving us a brief analysis of several important issues that we're dealing now. Maybe some question for our honorable guests. Or we can discuss later in more informal way or at cocktail at the ground floor of the faculty. Pozivam vas sve, ovim je seminar zvanično i otvoren, a sve vas pozivam na koktel koji je u kantini u prizemlju, da nastavimo druženje uz kafu, sok, pa posle od 2:30 nastavljamo drugu sekciju. Now we can go to the canteen and have some coffee.